Uncle said to dig the garden.
My husband fell into a coma after being stabbed by a random attacker. During his hospitalization, my 4-year-old niece came to visit and suddenly said that. I didn't understand the meaning, but it made me smile, thinking that she was trying to cheer me up. However, next to me, my niece's mother was grimacing with a pale face. She then revealed to me the mysterious power that my niece possessed.
Uncle has something else to say.
As my niece continued to speak, I began to tremble with fear at the horror of the facts. My name is Lily, a 33-year-old part-time housewife. I work as a web designer in an IT-related company. I married my husband, Nicholas, who is 5 years older than me, 3 years ago and bought a house with a garden on loan at that time. My husband is a wonderful person who is bright, gentle, and full of consideration for others. He became an irreplaceable existence for me as soon as we met, and that never changed even after we got married. We were bound by strong love and trust, and we believed that we would continue to live happily ever after. However, I never imagined that such a sad incident would happen. It all started when my father-in-law received a terminal diagnosis. Nicholas's parents' house is not far from our home, and his mother has already passed away. His younger brother Vincent and his wife and their 4-year-old daughter live with his father. His father runs a relatively large company in the area, and Vincent serves as vice president as the next successor. My husband and I were deeply shaken by this major event involving his father. However, the person himself was very calm, as if he had already made up his mind. Then, my father-in-law asked Nicholas to join his company and support Vincent. However, it was none other than Vincent who objected.
What are you talking about now? Isn't my brother someone who left home 20 years ago?
Caught between his dissatisfied younger brother and his father who wanted his sons to help each other, my husband was in a difficult position. Vincent, who was always praised by Nicholas as being more talented than him, was an intellectual who graduated from a top university as a child prodigy. However, to be honest, I was a little uncomfortable with Vincent. While Nicholas was bright and cheerful, Vincent was nervous and cold. I felt a heavy atmosphere around him that kept people away. According to what I heard from relatives I became friends with after marriage, it seems that Vincent had been jealous of Nicholas, who was liked by everyone since childhood. Nicholas also seemed to feel suffocated by his relationship with Vincent, who was always openly competitive with him. My father-in-law and his employees at his company also wanted Nicholas to be his successor, but Nicholas decided to look for a job at another company during his university days. It seems that he withdrew himself to hand over the family business to Vincent. However, Vincent has been unilaterally hostile to Nicholas, who is a presence that stimulates his childhood complex. Also, I am concerned about Vincent's wife Paisley and their 4-year-old daughter Abby, who always seem to be afraid of him. I noticed this about half a year ago when there was a family gathering at my parents-in-law's house. When I opened the door to the bathroom, Paisley was changing her clothes because her daughter Abby had accidentally soiled her clothes. As I apologized and tried to leave in a hurry, I noticed countless bruises and scars on her back. What's wrong with that? When I asked her worriedly, she quickly grimaced.
It's nothing.
But from Paisley's distant attitude towards Vincent, I immediately thought it might be his doing. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Did Vincent do that to you? Paisley turned pale at that question. It was clearly a positive answer.
It's my fault.
However, she only said that and never admitted it.
Please, don't tell your father-in-law or Nicholas about this.
I was deeply hurt, but overwhelmed by her desperate situation and couldn't consult with Nicholas. Soon after, my father-in-law passed away, leaving behind the family's wishes. Nicholas decided to join his father's company to carry on his father's will. Vincent, who became the new president, opposed it until the end, but he had to accept it in the end due to the support of the executives. Nicholas was enthusiastic about supporting Vincent, and I supported his new beginning. However, Nicholas gradually became lost in thought. And 3 months later, despite my worries, that incident happened. That day, I received a call during work that made my heart stop. It was from the police, and Nicholas was in critical condition after being stabbed by a random attacker. The scene was on a deserted street near his company, and the perpetrator fled and was missing. I rushed to the hospital in a panic, and Nicholas was in a critical condition, although he survived. I called Vincent first, and he was worried because Nicholas hadn't come back from his outside sales. After that, company employees and several relatives came to the hospital one after another, but Vincent and Paisley were not among them.
Oh, Nicholas! Please wake up!
I couldn't accept this shocking event as reality. I couldn't even see Nicholas in the intensive care unit, and I just cried in fear of losing him. The relatives there were the same, and we could only pray for Nicholas's safety. Later that night, Nicholas was still in critical condition, so I decided to go home to prepare for his hospitalization. However, when I arrived home, something surprising happened. When I entered the house, I found Vincent in Nicholas's study doing something.
Hey! What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, I was looking for important company documents while you were out.
He didn't seem to feel guilty at all about my question. Why does Vincent have our key?
I was keeping it for Nicholas in case something happened.
Huh? I don't think Nicholas said anything like that. I was furious that Vincent, who was looking for a house on his own without coming to the hospital when Nicholas was in trouble, had our key. But then I realized that the company was in trouble. What kind of company documents?
I think Nicholas saved it as data. I checked his computer, but it wasn't there, so it might be on a USB or disk.
I see. Nicholas's wallet was stolen when he was attacked, so I thought it might be in there. But I was planning to go back to the hospital right away, so I didn't want Vincent to stay at home anymore. So I told him to contact him if I found anything and sent him home. Paisley came to the hospital where Nicholas was the next day. She was not aware of the incident, and she heard about it from the company and rushed to the hospital. Hearing that, I became more suspicious of Vincent. Nicholas was still in a coma, and the police investigation was at a standstill, and they had no idea who the perpetrator was. Talking about that with Paisley made me more anxious, and I cried again. But then, something surprising happened.
Uncle said to dig the garden.
Abby, my niece, who was staring at Nicholas's sleeping face through the window of the intensive care unit, suddenly said that. I didn't understand the meaning of Abby's words, but her eyes were serious. I smiled, feeling her concern for Nicholas and me. Thank you, Abby. As I smiled and let it go, I looked at Paisley's face for help on what to say to Abby, and I was surprised to see her face turn pale.
Lily, please listen without being surprised. Actually, Abby has a mysterious power.
Paisley's story was hard to believe at first. Abby's mysterious power is the ability to sense changes in blood relatives. She realized this about half a year ago.
Grandpa has something bad in his stomach.
Paisley didn't understand Abby's sudden words and laughed it off like I did a few minutes ago. However, she was shocked when her father-in-law's illness was discovered shortly thereafter. And a few days later, she faced an event that changed her doubts into certainty.
Mom, did Dad hit you yesterday?
Abby spoke of something only Paisley could know. Vincent is a dishonest person who hits invisible parts of her body instead of her face, so it's rarely noticed by others. Abby's power has been getting stronger day by day, and she has become able to predict it every time. "That's scary. I don't know what to say," I said, staring at Abby's face in surprise. Then she looked at me with a more meaningful look.
Uncle has something else to say.
Then, the words spoken by Abby were something completely unexpected. "I can't believe such a terrible thing happened." I trembled with shock at the cruelty of the shocking truth. After that, I went back home and dug up the olive tree in the garden that Abby had taught me. As expected, a candy can wrapped in a plastic bag came out from there. Abby was right after all. I opened the lid of the can and checked the contents. It wasn't candy, but something important that Nicholas had hidden. And it told me why he had suffered so much. "This is terrible. To hurt my precious Nicholas for something like this." Eventually, my sadness turned into intense anger, and I decided not to forgive the perpetrator. That night, I called a person who knew the truth about the incident to my house and said, "I have something to tell you. I'll ask you straight. You're the one who stabbed Nicholas, aren't you?" The person was quite surprised by the sudden preemptive attack. He opened his eyes wide and froze for a few seconds, but then laughed out loud. "What's so funny? What I'm saying is not wrong. Right, Vincent?" Yes, the culprit I called was Vincent, Nicholas's younger brother. Abby, my niece, told me who the culprit was.
Uncle has something else to say.
She said that while looking straight into my eyes in the hospital room.
Dad is the one who stabbed Uncle.
Paisley and I were shocked by Abby's shocking words. However, there was no doubt about Abby's words. Because Paisley didn't explain the incident to Abby, she only told her that Nicholas was sick and sleeping. However, Vincent didn't flinch at my story and smiled defiantly.
Ridiculous. Abby is only 4 years old. How can you take a child's story seriously?
Vincent, you don't care about your family, so you don't know, but Abby has a mysterious power.
Hey, stop joking. I won't be accused of being the culprit based on such an occult story.
It's true. Abby predicted my father-in-law's illness. And you hit Paisley every day. Vincent was momentarily surprised by my last words, but then he returned to his expression and laughed down his nose.
That's ridiculous.
Then where were you at the time of the incident?
I was at the company all day.
Vincent answered confidently, but I knew it was a lie. After Abby's story, I was convinced that Vincent was the culprit. so I contacted one of the executives of my husband's company to confirm. Then it turned out that Vincent, who had behaved as if he were at the company, had been out all day.
So what? Yesterday, I was visiting clients alone from the morning. But there's no need to explain that when Nicholas is in trouble.
Then who is the client? Explain step by step where you went. Vincent sighed heavily.
Stop it already. It's too rough to accuse me of being the culprit without evidence. If you insult me anymore, I'll sue you for defamation.
Then he laughed at me with a relaxed look and turned his back. Wait a minute. Can you say that even after seeing this? Vincent, who turned around at my call, opened his eyes wide the next moment. This is what you were looking for, right? What was in my hand was a USB memory and an IC recorder. It was something I took out of a candy can Nicholas buried in the garden.
Hey! Where did you find that?
Surprised? Abby told me where it was. But I was surprised when I checked the contents. I never thought that you, the president, would do such a thing.
What? Did you open it?
Of course. It's important evidence that Nicholas went out of his way to bury in the garden. I then operated the IC recorder in my hand and played back the audio data. Vincent's voice requesting money as a reward for ordering a large amount from a trading partner flowed out from there. That's not all. You embezzled the company's money too, didn't you? There is a lot of evidence in the USB, such as secret account balances and evidence data like hidden account books. I had told the executive of the company that Nicholas trusted that these things had been found. Then he told me that Nicholas had collected evidence of Vincent's misconduct and was planning to demand his dismissal as president at the next board meeting. Nicholas probably warned you directly. But Vincent didn't listen to Nicholas and tried to get the evidence back. That's why Nicholas went out of his way to hide it there. Vincent, who was confronted with evidence of misconduct, was no longer relaxed. He turned pale and trembled nervously. I'm going to show this data to the police. Then they will investigate Vincent's actions in more detail. I think they will find evidence that you are the culprit soon.
Shut up. I won't let you do that.
The next moment, Vincent revealed his true nature and lunged at the evidence in my hand. Admit it, huh? You did fraud at the company and stabbed Nicholas, right?
Ah, damn it. This is annoying. Yes. I did it.
He finally confessed as he glared at me with a devilish expression, while I dodged him nimbly. Why? Why did you do such a horrible thing to Nicholas? Nicholas always cared about you, didn't he?
Shut up. I hated his hypocritical attitude all along.
Please, turn yourself in.
Ha! Are you kidding me?
Vincent's eyes bulged and he loosened his necktie, as he stepped closer and closer to me. Hey, what are you going to do?
Now that it's come to this, I'll send you to heaven too. Nicholas won't survive anyway. You'll be so desperate that you'll follow him.
Stop it. Don't add more sins.
Shut up. You bastard. Just die already.
Vincent quickly circled behind me and put me in a chokehold, then wrapped his necktie around my neck and tried to tighten it all at once.
That's enough.
But at that moment, the closet door in the room suddenly opened, and Paisley, who had been hiding inside, jumped out.
How long have you been there?
I've been there all along. To record all your evil deeds.
She said that and showed Vincent the video camera she had in her hand. Paisley, who had heard the identity of the culprit from Abby with me at the hospital, left Abby at the executive's house and offered to help me.
Paisley, you bastard. Do you know what will happen if you defy me?
Vincent changed his target from me to Paisley and tried to pounce on her. But before him, I quickly stuck out my foot and he stumbled and fell over. He hit his knee on the corner of the table and curled up in pain.
Damn it! You all are getting in my way. I'll send you both to the other world.
Vincent was completely out of his mind and tried to get up unsteadily. But then, the siren of a police car could be heard from afar.
Hey! Paisley! Do you know what will happen if you go against me?
Of course I did. I'm not going to let you do whatever you want to me anymore.
You're kidding, right? If I get arrested, you and Abby will be homeless.
Too bad for you. I've been putting up with you for Abby's sake, but I've always hated you. And you're not the kind of father Abby needs anymore.
Don't say that. I love you.
Vincent was completely bewildered by Paisley's unusually strong attitude and couldn't hide his panic. He still tried to coax her, but he was rejected and lost his composure. He turned to me and changed his attitude completely, and suddenly apologized.
Please forgive me. I'll pay you as much money as you want. Just let me go.
What? Are you kidding me? I'll never forgive someone like you who has rotten guts.
Don't say that. I'll change my heart from now on.
Yeah. It's too late for that, but I hope you do. Please reflect on your actions in prison. Soon after, the police arrived and Paisley and I submitted the evidence and the video camera data. Vincent, who was paralyzed with shock and couldn't move, resisted while crying, but was dragged by the police officer and put in the patrol car. And just at that moment, a call came from the executive of the company who was taking care of Abby. Apparently, Abby said,
I have something to tell Mom right now.
Abby says Nicholas is about to wake up. You're okay now.
And as Abby said, Nicholas woke up safely the next day. After that, Vincent confessed everything to the police and went to prison. He had a mistress, and he apparently did something illegal to please her. Paisley divorced Vincent and claimed $30,000 in damages, $100,000 in child support for Abby, and another $20,000 from his mistress. I also demanded $20,000 in compensation for Nicholas's incident. Vincent ended up selling the house he inherited from his father, and used all of it to pay for the damages, and became penniless. On the other hand, Nicholas recovered quickly and became the president of the company. We are bound by a stronger bond than ever and live happily. Paisley worked at Nicholas's company while raising Abby. My husband and I decided to support the two of them who helped us from now on.
How did you like this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.